I want to talk about working together. We do it already. We're all here and you launched today in this wonderful meeting. Thank you for being here. Congratulations with this day. The National Year of Reading. We never made that in Holland, so I'm here also to learn from you. I'm from Holland, and working together is part of our way to survive. The country did not exist about 2,000 years ago. Some strange guys stepped on trees and flowed down the river. They started fishing in a swamp. And after a few years, they didn't want to eat fish anymore, and they started to become farmers, wanted to land, but from time to time the flood was coming, and all the land was wasted. So they decided to build a dike around the country, not around the country, a piece of land. And the good thing was, not every farmer did it on his own. They decided to do it together. So, not a dike around your own farmland, but all the farmland together. And everyone accepted this idea. That's point one. Point two is that everybody took his own share. So, you made your dike just for your farmland. And the most important thing is you do also the maintenance, and keep it in good condition. Because when one forgets, all drown. So that's the basic of this country. We are still keeping a lot of attention to our dikes. Working together is a basic element for the quality of life, for society in general, all over the world. Without working together, you cannot survive. But in business, it's different. I think working together is not a goal on its own. And I think working together in business, and also libraries are in business, schools are in business, everyone is in business. You should only work together when there is something in it for you. It sounds very marketing-wise, and it is. So, to be sure, marketing is not a religion. It's not an idea from North Korea. I think that you should work together to make your own performance better. Of course, promoting reading, nobody is against it. But if a library and a bookshop and a publisher and a school and some people from the government sit around the table and decide to do things together, it must be in it for everyone, and sooner or later one of them will stop joining the team. So, better results for your institute, for your customers. There must be a higher performance, for instance. I heard a lot of very nice, very good plans for this year, for National Year of Reading here in Victoria. And a lot of them were in the libraries. So your goal can be more visits to the library. So you have a chance to show everybody what you can do. So you can also have goals for schools, publishers, and bookshops. For instance, a higher performance, better education, a better future for the libraries, lower costs, maybe for publishers, more revenues, maybe for bookshops. Everyone has his own goal. And that can be different as long as at least one goal is on the table. And there are, at this moment, 2 extra reasons to work together. And that's currently because we live in very modern times, international times. We heard already from Bernard that his son is in New York and his son in London, I think. My son is in China, and when he is there, he's falling in love with a Chinese girl, etc. So now we are also learning Mandarin, and I can tell you that's a difficult language. Reading is in heavy competition with other leisure activities, and I'd like you to have a short look at a movie. It's only 30 seconds, it's a part of a movie from the 1950s from the American government. And now it's a big trick.
Alice is devoting some of her leisure to learning to sew. That's something she'll be glad she did when she's older. And right now, she gets a big kick out of it. Here's the way Marge spends some of her leisure time. She's learning to play the piano. She's getting a lot of pleasure from her own accomplishment, and she's acquiring a skill that will help her socially. And some of the fellows spend their time in group activities that are building them up physically, as well as providing them with a lot of fun.
I cannot imagine that the government will make this kind of movies today. Not in Holland, and I don't think in Australia. But on the other hand, everyone has leisure time. And how do they spend it? And it's become part of marketing. There are all kinds of companies who deal with leisure time. Think of Sony, Nintendo with PlayStation. Think of Facebook. Think about watching sport games. Think of tourism. So people have a lot of opportunities to spend their leisure time. And then you are, it's also necessary to read. You're in competition with the other activities. And that makes the second reason. I think we all have to realize that we are in heavy competition with very impressive marketing and advertising. Nike. I watched around here in Melbourne. I arrived on Friday evening and walked around this weekend. I think almost everyone is walking in sporting shoes. It has nothing to do with sport. Everybody walks in sporting shoes. Myself. I think that's a very good example of marketing, and they do it in a very, very professional way. It's not just a shoe, it's a way of living, it's a lifestyle, and they use people for it, like Roger Federer. And another very good example of unbelievable successful marketing is my Apple computer, iTunes. Put two apples together and you get this. And then I worked in advertising in the first 10 years of my career. Later on I changed to a publishing house, and then later on I started at the CBME. But I'm still very interested in advertising, and one of the most beautiful ads I've ever seen is from Australia, and I think you all know it. And I show you this for 20 seconds, because they say by themselves what our problem is. It's a good ad, expensive. I think I have to remind you that when you have your message, reading is good for you. You have to compete with this kind of messages. So, if you don't have that money, play it smart. And there's only one way to play it smart, and that is work together. And this beautiful picture, I think it's from National Geographic, shows the very small fish in the ocean, the very big ocean. And for small fish, it's very heavy to survive in a very big ocean. There are many, many dangers. And they survive and they give themselves a better chance by swimming together. And by swimming together, you create your own space. You can easily find food. You can protect the very, very small fish, the baby fish. And also, other ones said, oh, there's something happening there, I don't know, I'll stay on a distance. So it's also a good defensive way of looking at what's gonna happen in society. If you all swim in the same direction, be close together, you have more chance to survive. Very important, you all must have the same goal. And today's lounge, it's mentioned already many, many times. It's reading, is a life skill for well-being. This is the main important message. It's the message that drives you. It's in your head, it's in your heart, it's your fuel, it's your motor. Keep it that way. All we have to do is express this feeling. But by bringing this message, we have a problem altogether when you are in the reading industry. And that's really a problem. So let's try to do it like already a lot of plans that happen in Victoria. Let's try to do it in a creative, innovative, and entertaining way. I saw the campaign Inside a Dog. I think it's a perfect example to do it in a very funny way. I started as the director of the foundation CPND. It's a collective propaganda of the Netherlands book. It's promotion of the Dutch book. In a very bad period. It was in the mid-80s, the economy was bad, reading was bad, computer games were coming up. And working together, everybody talked about it, but nobody did it. I was asked to rescue the foundation, and I started with a small team. And my task was make the Netherlands a country of readers. It's very close by the task of National Year of Reading. The situation was that bad that my first interview at television, I was a little bit nervous and I was standing there, and then the journalist said, Mr. Kraima, let's face the situation. The sales of children's book dropped down with 40% in the last 3 years. Yeah. What you gotta do about it? I said, I think we forgot to tell them that reading is very important for children. You have to tell it again and again and again and again. And if the message does not come true, it doesn't mean that people not listen, they tell it in the wrong way. So you have to change your message. Not the content, but the way you say it. We try to do it in the following years. I will tell you about 3 campaigns. One campaign I will tell you a lot, and 2 other campaigns just to show you we go on. The first campaign is promote reading aloud. I think it's, you can stop promote reading if you don't pay much attention to reading aloud. Promote reading for adults, for teenagers, young adults, for children who can read. It's all good you do it, but if you don't start at the beginning, you have a long way to go. What to do? Okay, we sit around the table. We say, okay, we're going to pay attention to promoting reading aloud. I think you all did it a lot last year, thinking over the year of reading. And for some of you, a lot of you, it's daily work. Hold your conference, a brochure, encourage the parents. Yes, it's very necessary to get a conference from time to time. All together talking about the problems, exchange ideas, hear the last statistics. It's very good to do it. Making brochures, of course, you need information material. Make a good poster. And of course, encourage the pupils' parents. So do it all. But do everything at the same time and add something extra to it. And I saw already one idea, the reading hour. It's called reading hour. Some aspects maybe you can use, because we invented the National Read Aloud Days. It takes 10 days. 10 days. It starts on a Tuesday. It gives a frame. And it starts, we try to invent something that starts with a lot of publicity. And that's why we start the National Read Aloud Breakfast. The National Read Aloud Breakfast, it was just an idea, and then we started it. And it's a huge success. It's an unbelievable success. At this moment, about 50% of the schools join it in the lower classes, and about 80% of all preschool and kindergarten join us. At the same morning, all kindergarten and schools start with a breakfast. And everyone does it at the same morning. It's very important. Just like today, it's very important that in every state, everywhere, there is a launch of the National Year of Reading. Another important thing is that reading aloud is done by a local or a national hero, someone who has never visited the school before. I'll explain later. And the fourth thing is that everyone reads the same book. And I will also show you the importance of this. This is an example of the book of last year. I think it's an international book. Maybe it's also published here in Australia. I Lost My Mom. It's about a little O. And this is the cornerstone of the campaign, this book. It's called the Picture Book of the Year, and it's chosen by the librarians. And it's very important that it's chosen by the librarians, because we were not looking for a picture book with the most arty drawings. We were not looking for a picture book with a text of the highest literature. We wanted to have a book with a very good text, beautiful drawings, but that is very accessible for everyone. It must not have a story for people who are used to read many picture books, or what makes little children frightened or something like that. So it's really a book chosen by librarians. This fits to all kinds of young people. And we hand it over to the schools, to the preschools, and we ask important people, please, can you help us? Choose the morning, go to a school you like in your neighborhood, and do you want to read aloud? Yes, said the Prime Minister. Yes, said someone of the royal family. I have to admit, we have a rather big royal family with a lot of princesses. But still. The national heroes are invited by the central organization, by my foundation. And every year, of course, we ask the Prime Minister, etc., etc., and the royal family, every year they come in. And we add one extra group, and that group that changes every year. And we need it for publicity. One year it can be sportsmen, one year it can be pop stars, for instance, or people well known from the television. In the first year, and we never were dreaming of the big success of our first choice, the CEOs of the biggest companies in Holland. We got an entrance in the Old Boys Network, and we got one, and he phoned his friends, and they said yes. So one morning, big Mercedes and that kind of cars, with a driver, with a chauffeur, were entering the schoolyards, and the CEO of our national airline, KLM, the CEO of Philips Electronics, the CEO of Shell Oil Company, the CEO of the big bank, they were all going to schools and preschools. You can imagine what happens there. We were taking care of the national press. So in the classroom were 20 children, one CEO, and 40 photographers. And cameras of television and everyone. The funny thing is, everybody is nervous except the children, they just accept it. The pictures that were made at that breakfast, it was about 4 or 5 years ago we did this. 5 years ago, I think, are still popping up everywhere. If one of the CEOs is in trouble, and there were directors of banks, so, it's in the financial magazines, etc. You see pictures of them. And they don't mind, because it shows that they are also human beings. And, you know, we will see the elections in America with all the candidates for the president and so, and I'm sure we all see the pictures picking up a child. It always works. It's good for them. One thing, when you are sitting with 20 children at a breakfast, and you do it very well, toddlers show you they love you. So when you leave the school, you need a clean jacket. But they knew that this was coming. Just one story about this. Afterwards, we were thinking, why did we have so much success by getting this group in? And it showed that from the 10 CEOs, there were 2 groups. One group was grandparents, and they wanted to show the whole family. I'm a family man, of course I do this. I go to the preschool of my grandchild. And the other half was remarried and had children of his own in the preschool. What happened? There were paparazzi at the schoolyard, a lot of them. There were photos in local and national newspapers. There were interviews on the radio. What most important, it was not just in programs programs that generally put attention to reading and things like that, but we became this subject in totally different programs you never expected, like celebrity watch programs and in lifestyle magazines. And another important thing is when you invite well-known Australians or well-known Dutchmen, they all have Twitter accounts, they all have Facebook, and they were all talking about this, so we were the topic of the day in the Netherlands, with our national read aloud breakfast. The results we like. I think it's very important that you say that reading is important. You should start it. You wear it in your heart, in your head, etc. But it's more important that people who are not connected to reading say it's very important. And that's what happened that morning. Second point is that it became a topic in the family. How was school today? Oh, we had breakfast this morning. And the fire commander was speaking there, or the guy from the television, etc., etc. So we were successful by organizing something at the school, at the preschool. And via the school, we were entering the family. You can also try to go directly to the family, but this was a very, very good way. And another important thing was the children asked their parents to read a specific book. And that was the book that everybody read. So it was really a success by working together, and I want to focus on what every partner did. For instance, the libraries. The first thing was they chose the picture book of the year. I think it's very good to show from time to time that you are ready, you librarians are really the ones who know everything about books. Another good thing is that you don't have commercial aspects, etc. So no booksellers, no publishers. Librarians choose the picture book of the year. You're the specialists. Libraries are on Facebook, libraries are on Twitter. And another thing is they encourage to make the young child a member, and they do it with an incentive. Can anybody guess what's this? It's a finger puppet. It sounds very silly. It is silly. But you can imagine that if you give to the Prime Minister a finger puppet of a little owl, and he uses it at his breakfast, Click, 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 click. All the photos are coming. And another thing is that it attracts the attention of the children because they see the ball coming back on the book and the finger puppet in the displays, on the television, in their own magazines, in the children magazines, etc. So every year we take the character of the winning book and we use it for promotion. Another thing we did was, when you became a member of the library, when you go as a parent, the little oldest looking for his mom. What I was saying, we try to encourage parents to come to the library and to make their young child of 2, 3, 4, 5 years a member of the library. And if they do so, they get a little finger puppet. Another thing we did was narrowcasting. Our foundation made a very, very small, you can hardly call it a movie, but it's done in a little bit more professional way than when you do it by yourself. And we handed over to all the libraries, all the bookshops, and everyone who was involved. So they have good materials for their own internet, for their own website. And I'll show you. There is no sound, everybody can make his own sound. This is 10 picture books, this is something about the winning book. Become a member of the library, you always find something new. Then there's the read aloud days. Once again, please. Nog een keer. It's what children say in Holland. If you stop this book, once again, please. Once again. And I'm sure Australian children do it also. You can make your own soundtrack under it. We can deliver the music, but you can also do it by yourself and give specific information what happens in your library or in your bookshop or at your school. Let's have a look at the bookshops. I like very much the children bookshops, but they are for people who are already interested in children books, I think. The general bookstore is, for me, the cornerstone in trying to get children to books. Parents visit them, and I saw some beautiful bookstores in Melbourne, and they all have a very good area for the children and children books. But during the Read Aloud days in the Netherlands, the whole part of this shop is coming in front, so in the window, and along the cash register, etc. And of course, they're also on Facebook and Twitter, and they give sometimes some money to the schools for breakfast. It's small amounts of money, but everything helps. And also they have used a narrowcasting, and then you see a little bit difference, because here they show the book that can be bought. And again, they can make their own text, and we have also to provide them with some music. Let's have a look at the publishers. Yes, there it is. The publisher of the winning book, of course, he has a jackpot, and he makes a special edition. You saw already, he makes a smaller edition for in the Netherlands for €5, and it's a kind of promotional discount that everybody can buy this book very easily. Of course, there is the normal edition, and sometimes they make an even bigger one. So they make all kinds of editions of the picture book of the year. Another thing is very important, all the publishers together make a brochure. I know that chains of bookstores like Dimmers like to make their own brochures. And I also know that publishers make their own brochure, so they can do it completely the way they like, with their style, etc. For the National Read Aloud Days, we make a brochure with the editing done by the foundation. And it gives a lot of information about how to read to a child 1 year, or 3 years, 4 years, etc. And the publishers can put the books in the brochure. They pay a little bit for it, and we put them in front cover with a short description. Every book the publishers say they want in that it's getting in the brochure. That's very important because you get more or less a general brochure about reading aloud. And it means that publishers does not make brochures for themselves. Of course, they offer discounts, supply them with POS materials, point of sale materials. They make beautiful posters with drawings and things like that, and they advertise. And to give you an idea about the brochure, full of read aloud tips, books in every category, by age, but also by subject, like Getting a Little Brother. Another partner, very important, the authors and illustrators. They visit schools, do workshops, they make picture books with the children. It's very much appreciated. Schools in the kindergarten, I think the cornerstone of all the campaigns that have been made for children. You cannot do something with children without the schools. And I think the schools have to realize that they have a very important position in this. In Holland, it's very common that there is a very close relation between schools and libraries. And I heard that's not always the case in Australia. I have to stress that this is one of the most important points, so I like to work it out in the workshops in the coming week. They organize the breakfast, of course with the help of the libraries and the bookshops. They inform the parents, and sometimes they organize a special evening for the parents with a librarian to talk about all kinds of aspects of reading aloud. And they distribute the brochures to the parents, and that's unbelievably important for the bookshops and for the publishers. They know that the brochure is not made and put in on the tables of the shops. They know that half of it is wasted, they throw it in the bin at the end of a period. Now they know that it's directly given to the parents. So for the publishers it's very interesting, and I think schools give very good information. Working together on reading aloud, it means finding the right date, accept that there is a logo, a poster, there are brochures, and there is a website. And I wonder if once this would be possible. We'll recall Kidman visiting a school for a breakfast. Another very good thing in the Netherlands is that if you are working together, if you unite, collaborate, as a book trade, as a reading trade, you attract the attention of others. That means that you're going deeper into society. If you use well-known people, it's also an aspect. But if you attract the aid of companies, for instance, it helps you incredible way. We work together with a bank, ABN AMRO. They give a financial support so we can do the central organization. They all have displays in their, we call it shops. A funny thing was that if you get money out of the wall, you get a receipt, and on the receipt was attention for reading aloud there. They put advertisements, and another very important point, 6.8 million accounts. That means most of the people in the Netherlands have an internet account, that when you open your account in the bank, the first thing you see in the right corner, read aloud days. So it pops up in a very strange corners of society. It's not only a message from the library or from a bookshop or from a school, it also it's in other areas. And I think that's one of the most successful elements we have in the Netherlands. By working together for people working in the industry of reading, by doing that, you can work with totally different partners who support you. And I'll give you another example during our book week and the second campaign. That's this. The book week, I know every country in the world has a kind of book week. Most of the times it's very commercial. We have really a big party. We started with a big party one evening, book ball, and for 1 week everything is possible around the book. You see it really everywhere. And I saw a lot of things that happened during this, here in Melbourne, here in Victoria, during the National Year of Reading. We do all those things together in 1 week, and it's really everywhere. So once a year, everybody in Holland knows books exist. Let's have a moment. I told you already, unite, and others want to participate. Can you see what's happening in this movie? It's one of the most lovely ideas in my career. We have a book week which is so successful that it's the longest week in the Netherlands. It takes 10 days. We start on Tuesday and go on to the weekend 10 days later. And in the middle, the Sunday in the middle, if you buy a book during book week or you become a member of a library, you can travel for free the whole day to the Dutch Railways. You can imagine if you capitalize this, it's millions worth. They will never do that with one other product. Of course it's good for them. They want to show that you can read in the train, it's better than to sit in the car, etc. So it's part of their, what they want to show to the people that train, going by public transport is important. But for us, it was unbelievably successful. Last year, more than 200,000 people were sitting in the train on that day. We had to put extra trains on it. And another thing was, of course, in Australia, the trains are always on time. In Holland, not. And the people who have to hear all the reactions are the officials who go through the train and check the tickets, etc. And this day, they really love. It's a day all the officials want to work because it's one big party in the trains everywhere. Everybody is sitting with the same guy. And they are walking around and talk with them, etc. So it's a really big party. Of course, sponsoring is not always forever. Dutch Railways is a sponsor of the book week. But in one of my last meetings, I told the board of the Dutch Railways, if you ever plan to stop, sooner or later maybe you want to stop, I don't think you can stop with this, because it has become like Australia Day. it's a national, it has become a national day of public transport. It's hardly to explain that you can stop this. There are two ways to get this free ride. You buy a book at a bookstore or you become a member of the library. You can imagine what happens at the bookstores and at the libraries. The bookstores and the libraries work together with the usual things. We do a lot of things together. It's this one. As the central organization, we try to help them, and we work together with national partners. And to give you an example, we have a media partner. It's one of the public broadcasting companies. And during book week, they have programs about literature every evening. Not on prime time, it's at 11 o'clock. Okay, but still, it's there. The most important element is they make a promo. And they send promo on the television, broadcast the promo continuously. That means that if you, it doesn't matter what time, you look at a public broadcast, you will hear that it's book week. And that's the profit for us. I want to show you one promo. It's made a few years ago. And we have at the Book Week every year a central theme. And the theme of this year was, we noticed that writers, if they write a book, often they use experience from their youth. So we asked them, can you write a letter to yourself by the time you were young? What letter did you want to have to receive from your older self? I hope I expressed myself clear. I think you have an idea. And they made a really beautiful program from it.
Beste Appie, ik schrijf je om je te vertellen dat je vanaf volgende week Abdel zal heten. Net als jij straks, was ik verbaasd.
Beste Tommy, ik weet niet wat je van me wilt horen. Misschien dit. Zorg dat je, wanneer je daar de leeftijd voor hebt, een betrouwbare geliefde vindt. Liefst een die piano speelt.
Opgroeien in de letteren is het thema van de Boekenweek. Vanaf 8 maart op Nederland 2.
This promo is being used by all bookshops, all libraries on their websites. And we got it for free. Okay, let's go to the third example. Here's the library, the cornerstone. I think most of you know a campaign in America, One Book, One City. I think you have kind of this in America. Let's go this. It's based in One Book, One City. We use the idea, that's an aspect of the Netherlands. We are a very small country, as you know, a very small country. Drive 300 kilometers and you are in another country. So we steal all the ideas from the big countries around us. It's our way to live. This one came from America, in Chicago. It was, I think about 10 years ago, it was a huge success. They chosen the book To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And it was about racial aspects in the city of Chicago, and it was brought at schools and libraries and even at McDonald's, etc. Everybody in the city talked about it, and now almost every city in America has a kind of campaign like this, and everyone chooses their own book. But we do it on a national scale, and we do it to promote the libraries with help of the schools and the bookshops. I think that also libraries from time to time should think as a company. And that means that libraries should appreciate that people have a membership and that they visit the library. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. So, from time to time, give them something. So, what we do is, we choose a book, and we hope that the whole Netherlands talk about this book together. The whole campaign takes 1 month. And the libraries give away 700,000 copies. It's in a pocket, edited, published in a pocket. We always choose a small book for the costs, but also for, if you have a very thick book, people don't have the time to read it in the campaign period. So it's a book about 100 pages. We have about 2 million adults who are a member of the library, and we print only 700,000. The bookshops have very luxury-bound copies with a lot of extras, with pictures about the writer, etc. And the schools use them in their educational system. And to give you an idea, these are the several editions. On the right top, you see the pocket. On the left top, you see the bound copy, and on right down there is the audio book and there is a leaflet. Again, we got a lot of help. How do you build a campaign that you want to encourage that the whole country speaks about the same book? That was what we wanted. Give them the experience. I think the best reading promotion is give them experience of reading a nice book. When you have read a nice book, you are in the mood for another one. So give them the experience. And we were helped by the people who advertise on the streets. And we made a poster. We got a lot of awards from all kind of international advertising awards. We published a complete book on a poster. Of course, nobody reads it. Nobody reads it. But it gives the idea something is going on. And it's not a book of 300 pages, so I can read it. And from time to time, people read some things, and maybe they are inspired and they want to read it. So this was all on posters on the street and everywhere. And of course, we use Twitter, Facebook, and those kind of things, and we made the biggest reading club of the nation. Working together in education. I show you the front of the pocket. One of the libraries in a big city, we worked with a secondary school, pupils, about 16, 17, 18 years old, and it's a lower education, more technical. And the students were not used to literature, to be honest. But the theme on the school, I think it's important that they also joined this campaign. So they made a project of it, and we adopted it. The writer was visiting the school, but yeah, a writer is not always a success at schools. Some do it very well, some are not very successful. So to create a good atmosphere, we added a hip-hop star close to him, someone who had read the book and who loves the book, and he was his ambassador. And at the end of the 2 weeks project at that school, all the students had read the book, and then they started to make it, and they offered the library to do something special about the book, and this is what they did. They made the title in a huge way, and it's been spread all over the city, and here it's in the library by itself. This was the book. This is what they made. I think it's a beautiful example about working together between libraries and schools. What are the results of Nederland Leest? The Dutch read. At the morning, the first day of handing out the copies, we were on the radio and on the television. When you were coming to this meeting, maybe you were in the car listening to the radio, or you were watching television. We were in every program that morning. Libraries do something special. They give away 700,000 books. When the libraries opened at 10 o'clock, they couldn't believe their eyes. There were large queuing for the libraries. But it was also, you can imagine, it's really something for people working in the library to see so many people coming in and show them that you really see the members coming in, and you can do something you've never done before. Give a book, give it away, you don't have to bring it back. Another thing was that every year there's a survey. What books are read by students at the end of the school period, at the final exams? And this book is already for years. The book that we choose is already for years in the top 3. That means that if you are 17, most of the people who are 17 have read the same book. Can you imagine what happens after 10 years or 20 years? When you are 30 or you are 40, you can still discuss with each other about the same book. I think that's an unbelievable good idea. Third thing, because it's an old book, it must be at least 20 years old, we decided. A lot of parents have also read the book. And it does not happen much that a parent and a young adult has read the same book and could talk about it. So that are the results of the Dutch Read, and it has become one of the biggest reading campaigns in the country. Those are the 3 examples, and working together, I think there are 3 basics. Timing, timing, timing. I think with the National Year of Reading, it's a perfect example of timing. Choose your year. You can also make a month, or 10 days, a week, a day, an hour. Timing is important. Another thing is money. There's always a shortage of money everywhere. When you want money, buy some shares of Facebook. When you're in the book trade, if you work as a library or in a bookshop or in publishing or general trade, there's not much money in that trade. So except it's always small money. But if you use this budget all together at the same time, a lot of things will happen. And the third thing is attitude. Work is an open mind. Schools and libraries work together. Bookshop publishers, library bookshops. Make each other stronger. We do it the all year round. I told you I started in the mid-80s. We had only 2 campaigns, and when I left, every month there was something going on. In January we have the National Read Aloud Days I told you about. In February was Poetry Day. I saw here's also something about slam poetry. We do poetry in general, everything. In March we have our book week. In April we have a children's jury. In May we have young adults. It's also very beautiful ideas here. In June we have Month of Crime Books. Let me say a little bit about Month of Crime Books. We did a survey. We have people who read a lot, people who read 1 book a year, people who do not read. The middle group is very interesting because they can go to the group never, and they can go to the group 3, 4, 5 books a year. We asked them, if you only read 1 book a year, what kind of book do you read? And almost everyone said, a crime book. It doesn't matter what age, men, women, not even education. People from university, people with no education, was a crime book. And that was for us, if 1/3 of society loves to read a crime book, you can do something with it. You can, if you build a campaign about crime books, it's easier to get in contact with that group and attract them to go to the library or attract them to go to the bookshop. It's a big success, this campaign. All year round, July, August, we have a summer reading. Some of you will know in America the campaign Get Caught Reading, where they use famous Americans and they make a poster of it. We also do that in the summer. In September we have a national book fair. In October we have a children's book week, which is a huge success. And in November we have Nederland Based, and in December it's all Christmas and things like that. It's all built up like the Japanese story. We don't have much money. We cannot make big campaigns. But if you go on and on and on, it's the Japanese story of the dropping raindrop, the falling raindrop on the stone. Sooner or later, you get the stone. So, if you ask me, can you change the behavior of people? Yes, I think you can. It's very difficult to get results in statistics. I can show you one statistic of a few years ago. It's about the book sales through the year. I was thinking of Blue Mountains, I won't visit it. This is 52 weeks in 1 year. Don't look at that side. That's Christmas, and we also have another party, City Class. It's in December. It's a big giveaway. Almost every other curve is made by a collective campaign. So it means that more people are going to the bookshop. Unfortunately, we don't have this kind of statistics from libraries, but I know from stories that also in libraries you can make this kind of statistics. Do not wait for the next opportunity. There may be no next opportunity. You have the year of the reading, and I think this is a wonderful start of a very, very important year. You have the Premier, I heard in Canberra, maybe the Prime Minister. I think you have the chance today, and you should do it. this year. And if it works out well, you start a better future. I'm sure about that. Go for it.